You ever notice how the truth always finds a way to sneak out, even when everybody in power is trying to bury it? Because tonight, the entire internet is buzzing, rappers are calling each other, group chats are blowing up, and fans are left staring at their screens in straight disbelief after one shocking discovery. The phone tower records from Yungeen Ace's device do not match what police claimed, not even close. And what started as a quiet leak from a tech worker inside the system has now turned into a wildfire, exposing cracks in a story the authorities swore was airtight. See, for weeks, investigators told the public that Ace's phone pinged in one specific area during a critical moment tied to an ongoing case. They swore by that timeline, they stood on it, they doubled down in interviews. But the leaked data, those unedited, unfiltered digital footprints, are telling a completely different version of events. A version so wild that fans are already saying, hold on, if this part ain't true, then what else have they been hiding? The craziest part. The tower pings show Ace traveling in the opposite direction of where police said he was. Opposite. And the timestamps line up perfectly, contradicting the official report point by point. People are screaming cover-up. Others say someone is protecting themselves. In Ace's inner circle, they've gone silent, which only made the speculation explode even more. And now the question everybody is scared to ask is the one echoing across social media. If Yungeen Ace wasn't where police claimed, then who was, and why would someone bend the story in the first place? Tonight, we're diving into the leak that flipped the narrative upside down. The moment those tower records leaked, everything shifted. You could literally feel the energy online flip from maybe the police know what they're doing to nah, something is off here. And the craziest part is how fast the streets reacted. Within minutes, fans started pulling up maps, comparing timestamps, running their own little investigations like this was some Netflix documentary. The whole internet turned into FBI Junior, and every single clue pointed to the same explosive truth. Yungeen Ace's phone wasn't anywhere near the zone authorities claimed, not even within a mile radius. The tower pings placed him on a completely different route, moving in a direction that made absolutely no sense unless the original story was manipulated. People close to Ace said he had been acting strange all week, not in a guilty way, but in a frustrated, irritated, tired of everything way. One insider claims Ace walked into the studio and slammed his phone on the table like, "Man, they trying to write a whole book about me that I ain't even in." That line alone had fans going crazy, because it matched up with a rumor that he already knew someone was trying to pin a narrative on him. And the leak just confirmed he wasn't lying. According to the records, while police claimed Ace was circling a neighborhood under surveillance, his phone was pinging towers closer to a private residential area where only a few people knew he'd recently visited. A woman from that neighborhood even posted on Facebook, saying she saw a dark SUV that looked like Ace's pass by around the exact time the leak documented. That post went viral instantly, especially after commenters started connecting dots. Was he visiting someone? Was he dropping something off? Was he warned? Or was he being followed? Then came the twist nobody expected. Someone from Ace's own camp anonymously messaged a fan page saying, they knew he wasn't there, they needed him to be. That line shook the fanbase to the core. Needed him to be? For what? Why? And it got even uglier when a second leak dropped, an internal police email, blurred but readable, mentioning timeline adjustments. The internet exploded. Thousands of comments like, adjustments? What y'all adjusting? And this is why we don't trust the system poured in within minutes. Even rappers chimed in, some calling the situation shady, others telling Ace to get a good lawyer immediately. It felt less like a rumor and more like a building-sized wall collapsing on the narrative police had been trying to hold up. But deeper inside Ace's circle, emotions were running hotter than the internet knew. One of Ace's closest friends confronted him directly, saying, "Bro, they trying to box you in again. You better tell everybody where you really was." And Ace, looking tired, just shook his head and said, "It don't matter what I say. They gone twisted anyway." That moment was described by the insider as the first time Ace looked genuinely defeated, like the weight of being constantly watched, judged, and accused was finally getting to him. His family wasn't taking it lightly either. Ace's older brother reportedly got into a heated argument with someone from a legal team, yelling, "How they gone tell us where he was? We know where he wasn't." And when that audio leaked online, fans were stunned at how emotional the family sounded. It wasn't about guilt or innocence at that point, it was about feeling hunted. feeling targeted. Feeling like no matter where Ace went, his movements were being rewritten to fit someone else's agenda. Meanwhile, fans noticed something weird. Ace went completely silent on social media. No tweets, no Instagram stories. No posts, nothing, and that silence only fueled more speculation. Some said he was talking to lawyers, others said he was scared. A few even claimed he was preparing to expose somebody higher up. But the truth is, nobody knew. And that's what made the situation even more dangerous. Behind the scenes, a person familiar with Ace's phone carrier revealed that tower evidence can't be altered without leaving a trace. Pings are permanent, the worker said. Even if you wipe records from one location, another internal log will still show the movement. So if the tower records proved Ace was elsewhere, then someone else's report had to be intentionally incorrect. And that accusation alone was enough to trigger discussions across social media about corrupt investigators, hidden motives, and personal vendettas. Then a bombshell detail dropped. The exact tower Ace's phone pinged from is one used heavily by police surveillance vehicles. Suddenly, the narrative changed. People started asking if Ace wasn't where police said, were police following him? That twist flipped everything upside down. Instead of Ace being the one tracked for a crime, fans wondered if he was being tailed because of something he saw or someone he was protecting. A Jacksonville blogger claimed that Ace told someone he felt like an unmarked car kept popping up near him the week before. Another source said Ace suspected someone was tapping into his movements without legal approval. These claims can't be confirmed, of course, but fans ate them up like candy. One dramatic video from a neighborhood Ring camera even surfaced showing a blacked-out SUV pulling away moments after Ace's phone pinged that tower. The internet immediately labeled it Ace's shadow car, insisting someone was monitoring him, not the other way around. And the comments were wild. This ain't no street beef, this government-level weirdness. Ace stumbled into something he wasn't supposed to see. They tracking him like he's the suspect and the witness. But the real chaos started when Ace's mother stepped into the situation. She reportedly told someone during a phone call, "My son is not lying. They want him to be at the wrong place because they looking at the wrong person." That quote alone tore the fanbase in half. Some said she was emotional and protecting her child. Others believed she was hinting at a bigger truth, a truth Ace couldn't say publicly yet. And if the tension wasn't high enough, a close friend of Ace revealed something chilling. When the leak came out, Ace just stared at his phone for like 10 minutes and said, "It's starting." That line hit the internet hard. What was starting? Did he know someone would expose the records? Was he waiting for this moment? Or was something bigger brewing behind the scenes? At this point, fan theories were so intense they could fill an entire documentary. Some believed Ace was being framed. Some thought an officer with a grudge was trying to drag him into a case he wasn't part of. A few said Ace had been helping someone quietly and that the true criminal wasn't him at all, but someone with connections powerful enough to twist narratives. As pressure mounted, people in Ace's circle began turning on each other. One crew member accused another of leaking locations. A heated argument allegedly broke out in the studio, with one person shouting, "If you ain't tell them, then who did?" Voices rose, chairs moved, and Ace had to step between them yelling, "Chill. Y'all making it worse." That moment alone showed fans how bad things were getting internally. Loyalty was cracking, trust was slipping, and paranoia was spreading like wildfire. Even Ace's label reportedly started asking questions. They wanted to know if he was involved in anything that could drag them into legal trouble, and Ace had to reassure them repeatedly. But the more he defended himself, the more irritated he got. One witness says Ace finally snapped and said, "I'm not explaining myself anymore. Y'all either ride or y'all don't." Meanwhile, fans kept digging deeper and deeper into the tower data. They discovered Ace's phone connected to a second tower just minutes later, one even further away from the claimed police location. That eliminated any chance of glitching or misconnection. This was real movement, real travel. Real proof, and if he wasn't at the police's location, then whose timeline was being protected? That's when the whispers began. Someone else was supposed to be at that scene, someone who had the same type of SUV, someone authorities didn't want to expose. And Ace, he became the easier name to plug into the story. Whether that's true or not, nobody knows yet. But one thing is undeniable, those phone tower records cracked open a story much bigger than Ace expected. And the deeper you look, the messier it gets. After the tower records shook the entire internet, everything around Yungeen Ace's life started moving like a storm he couldn't outrun. Even people who normally stayed out of drama suddenly wanted answers. Friends, family members, industry people, everybody had a theory, everybody had a suspicion, and worst of all, everybody had a fear they weren't saying out loud. Because if Ace's name was being inserted into places he never went, then someone else had the power to rewrite narratives like a movie script. And once the streets caught wind of that, nobody wanted to be anywhere near the wrong storyline. Ace himself tried to move quietly. He stayed indoors, limited who he spoke to, and only kept 2 people near him at all times. One insider says Ace's exact words were, "If they lying on me once, they'll lie on me again. I can't trust nobody right now." That paranoia wasn't just fear, it was survival. When you realize someone's manipulating your timeline, you start questioning every person who had access to your phone, your car, your circle, your movements, your life. The craziest part, a second tech leak dropped online, this time showing a screenshot from a phone tower monitoring dashboard used by investigators. The screenshot highlighted Ace's ID number, but also showed another unidentified device moving in a nearly identical pattern, except that device pinged the tower police claimed Ace was near. Fans immediately jumped on the theory that authorities mixed up the 2 devices, or even worse, intentionally swapped their labels. The internet erupted with comments like, "So who was really at the scene?" And "They got someone they trying to protect and Ace just became the placeholder." And when that screenshot hit Ace's crew chat, people inside said the room went silent. One member apparently stared at the image for a long time before saying, "Bro, that ain't no mistake, that was done on purpose." Tension shot through the room. Everyone started pacing, whispering, arguing. One person even slammed a bottle on the counter yelling, "This whole thing is set up." That's when Ace finally broke his silence. Calm but frustrated, he said, "They trying to confuse the public." Because once people confused, they don't ask the right questions. He wasn't yelling, he wasn't panicking, he was thinking. And that scared his circle more than anything because Ace thinking silently always meant something serious was coming. Meanwhile, the female neighbor who claimed to see Ace's SUV came forward in a short video, saying she wasn't sure if it was him personally, but she knew the vehicle looked similar. Fans began dissecting her tone, her facial expressions, her body language, trying to figure out whether she was pressured or coached. One fan wrote, "She looks scared. Like somebody told her what to say." Another said, "Why is she clarifying now? She was confident before." And once again, suspicion spread like wildfire. Reporters began showing up near Ace's old neighborhood. One even knocked on a relative's door, asking, "Do you believe Yungeen Ace is being falsely placed in this case?" The relative slammed the door shut without saying a word, but neighbors reported hearing yelling inside the house, people arguing about outsiders stirring trouble. It was clear Ace's family was emotionally torn. They wanted to protect him, but they were terrified of saying the wrong thing that could escalate everything even more. The tension got so bad that Ace's mother reportedly confronted someone from law enforcement over the phone. Witnesses say she shouted, "Why y'all lying on my son? Why y'all changing locations? Tell the public the truth." Her voice cracked with emotion, and you could hear how tired she was, tired of seeing her child dragged, tired of watching narratives spin, tired of being powerless against a system bigger than her family. The next big twist happened when a leaked audio recording surfaced. It wasn't Ace, it wasn't police, it was someone from the investigative team talking to a superior. The audio was muffled, but one line was clear enough for fans to replay hundreds of times. "We can't use his real location, it complicates the timeline." That single sentence sent shockwaves across social media. People were stunned, outraged, ready to riot. What did they mean by complicates? Why would Ace's real location make their case harder? What narrative were they trying to preserve? One content creator broke it down in a viral theory video, saying, "If Ace wasn't where they said he was, but someone else was, that someone might be tied to something deeper," and exposing that might mess up an internal investigation. The comment section exploded with thousands of fans yelling, "This is bigger than Ace," and they using Ace as a smokescreen. Ace's team didn't release a statement, but insiders said he was furious, not screaming, but cold furious, the type of anger where your voice drops and your words get sharper. He reportedly told someone, "I knew they would come for me eventually, I just ain't know it'd be like this." His closest friend tried to calm him down, but Ace wasn't having it. "I'm tired of being the name they use. I'm tired of being the target," he said, pacing back and forth, gripping his chain like it was the only solid thing in his life. At the same time, fans started pulling up old interviews and cases involving Ace, pointing out patterns where his name popped up even when he wasn't directly involved. "They've been watching him for years," one fan wrote. "It's like they waiting for any excuse to paint him guilty." Others brought up times Ace avoided situations, moved smart, stayed focused, yet still somehow his name ended up floating in rumors. And with the tower leak exposing false information, loyalty around Ace tightened but also fractured. Some members of his circle felt unsafe. Others worried their own names would be dragged. One insider said a crew member cried in frustration, saying, "They gone twist this to make it seem like we helping him hide something. When we not, he wasn't even there." Emotions ran high, trust was thin. The family was left divided on whether to speak up publicly or stay silent until Ace's legal team stepped in. The legal team, by the way, was scrambling behind the scenes. They reached out to telecom experts, data analysts, and even former investigative officers who understood how tower manipulation could happen. One analyst reportedly told them, "What's happening here is unusual. Someone is pulling strings." That line alone had Ace pacing for hours, replaying conversations he'd had, thinking about people he once trusted. Meanwhile, social media sparked a war between supporters and skeptics. Some people insisted Ace was lying, saying tower data could be spoofed. But tech experts quickly shut that down, pointing out that spoofed signals don't create stable handoffs between multiple towers. Ace's movement was consistent, natural, and absolutely real. "This ain't spoofing," a tech YouTuber said. "This is someone altering the narrative." Then came another twist, an anonymous message sent to a large rap blog saying, "Watch the footage they release next. It won't match the truth either." Suddenly, the entire internet was waiting, refreshing timelines, wondering what footage the message referred to and why someone warned about it in advance. Ace's family started avoiding phone calls. People close to him stopped posting online. Everyone feared their words could be twisted, clipped, edited, or used against them. But Ace himself, he sat in a dim room with his close friends and said something that sent chills through everyone there. "If they want a war, they gone get one, but it's gone be fought with the truth." That was the moment Ace stopped being scared and started planning. The pressure around him got heavier, but his expression changed from anxious to determined. He wasn't going to let them control his story anymore. He wasn't going to let tower records be twisted, and he damn sure wasn't going to let someone else's guilt be placed on him. Because the truth was finally leaking out and Ace was done being quiet. The moment Ace shifted from scared to determined, the energy around him flipped almost instantly. People who had been panicking started calming down, people who felt hopeless began feeling protected, and people who were quiet suddenly wanted to speak. But the more Ace stood his ground, the louder the chaos outside became. News outlets began circling like vultures, blogs kept pumping out half-true stories, and police felt the pressure building against them. It was no longer a simple narrative. It was a battle, Ace versus a system that had more power, more reach, and more influence than any rapper could ever imagine. But Ace wasn't just any rapper. He was someone who had survived too many losses, too many funerals, too many setups and betrayals to roll over quietly. He'd seen friends vanish, he'd watched people flip sides, and he learned the hard way that silence doesn't protect you, it just delays the attack. So while the world argued about his innocence, Ace was already thinking 10 steps ahead, building a strategy in his head like a chess player staring down an entire board. His first priority was figuring out who leaked the tower records, not to punish them but to understand the motive. A leak that big never comes from someone careless, it comes from someone fed up, someone tired of watching lies stack up. Someone inside the system who knows Ace is being dragged unfairly. One of Ace's closest friends even said, "Bro, I think somebody in their office rockin' with you heavy. This leak didn't happen by accident." But Ace didn't smile. He didn't celebrate, instead he said softly, "If someone helping me, that means they know the truth. And if they know the truth, that means this ain't about me no more." Meanwhile, the streets were whispering louder than ever. Rumors spread that another person, someone with a history, someone with connections, was actually the individual at the scene police claimed Ace was near. Fans on Twitter started comparing pictures of vehicles, analyzing shadows in footage, enhancing screenshots, even syncing timestamps like amateur detectives. People were convinced they saw a different man stepping out of an SUV that night. But here's where things twisted. Nobody could agree on who that man was. Some said it was a rival, some said it was an informant. One conspiracy theory even claimed it was an undercover agent whose identity had to be protected. The uncertainties only added fuel to a growing fire of confusion. Ace watched all this unfold quietly. He didn't comment publicly, didn't like posts, didn't tweet, but inside he was thinking deeply. He told his childhood friend, "If they mixin' me up with someone else, it ain't a mix-up. It's a replacement." That statement hit everyone around him like cold water. Replacement, meaning someone else needed the spotlight off them, and Ace became the convenient distraction. His crew started piecing together their own timeline from that night. They remembered where Ace was, who he talked to, who he called, and who he met. A friend named Dries swore he saw a suspicious car tailing them earlier that week. Another insisted Ace's phone battery drained unusually fast, possibly from tracking software running silently. Then a third person admitted they noticed an unmarked sedan near a studio exit 2 nights before, parked with the lights off, engine running. At first they thought nothing of it, but now everything felt connected. The paranoia wasn't paranoia anymore, it was pattern recognition. The tension hit its peak when Ace met with one of his lawyers who laid everything on the table. "Look," the lawyer said, frustration dripping from every word, "tower data does not lie. It can't be altered without authorization. But someone is feeding the public a false location. And that means someone up the chain is protecting themselves." Ace leaned back, rubbed his face, and whispered, "So they trying to make me the cover story?" The lawyer didn't deny it. Instead, he said something that made Ace's stomach tighten. "Yes. Because you're the easiest name to attach and the hardest one for the public to ignore." At the same time, Ace's mother remained a force in the background. She wasn't loud, but she was vigilant. She asked questions. She made calls. She contacted people Ace didn't even know she had connections with. One family friend said she cried one night, saying, "I'm scared they'll do to him what they've done to so many young black men, rewrite the story before it's even told." Her emotions tore at the family's unity. Some wanted to fight publicly, others wanted to lay low. A few wanted to relocate Ace entirely until things calmed down, and that division only added to Ace's stress. He didn't want his family fractured over something he didn't even do. Meanwhile, the investigation team tried to regain control. They released a vague public statement, repeating their confidence in their evidence, but completely ignoring the tower leaks. And that silence was deafening. Fans immediately commented, "Why they not addressing the leak? Why skip the most important part? They lying by omission." The backlash grew so strong that blogs labeled it the cover-up statement, and even mainstream news started questioning inconsistencies. Then another unexpected twist hit the internet. A clip leaked of Ace arguing with someone off camera. You could hear him say, "Stop telling me to calm down, they weaponizing the truth against me." The argument sounded raw, real, emotional. Some blogs twisted it to make Ace look unstable. Others said it proved he was being pushed to the edge by lies. Either way, the clip went viral within hours, and fans were shocked to hear how hurt he sounded. His voice cracked when he said, "I'm tired of being hunted." That single sentence melted millions of hearts. Comments poured in, "Protect Ace at all costs. This man is fighting for his name. You can hear the pain." It was the most vulnerable the public had ever heard him, and it only deepened the emotional stakes of the entire situation. Then came the moment that flipped everything upside down again. A former officer, someone who had worked on digital evidence cases before, posted anonymously saying tower data is often used incorrectly by inexperienced officers. But he also wrote a chilling sentence. "Incorrect placement is sometimes deliberate." That blew the case wide open. Someone from inside the system was confirming the possibility of intentional misdirection. Ace read that post 3 times, then he texted someone close to him. "It's time." "Time for what?" his friend asked. Ace simply replied, "Time to expose them." That was the moment Ace stopped reacting and started attacking. He gathered every piece of data his team collected, every screenshot, every timestamp, every witness, every message. He sat at a table with his closest people and said, "I don't want revenge. I want the truth in the open. If they scared of the truth, that's their problem." Everyone in the room felt a shift in the air. Dree said it felt like Ace wasn't just defending himself, he was standing up for every kid they ever lied on. Emotions ran high, some cried, others got fired up. And Ace, he looked calm, powerful, focused. He was ready. Ready to fight with facts, ready to fight with proof, ready to fight with the truth they were trying to bury. Because once the Tower records came out, the narrative they built began collapsing brick by brick. And Ace knew if he pushed just a little harder, the entire structure would fall. But he had no idea what the next leak would reveal, and neither did the world. Ace had no idea what the next leak would reveal, but deep down he knew it wasn't over. Whenever the system feels pressure, it doesn't fold, it pushes back, hard, and that's exactly what happened. Just 2 days after Ace started organizing his evidence, a mysterious video dropped online. It wasn't posted by a blog, a fan page, or an influencer. It came from a burner account with 0 followers, 0 posts, and a username made of random numbers. Yet within minutes, the world saw it. The video was shaky, dark, but clear enough to understand. It showed 2 investigators standing in a parking lot, talking beside their patrol vehicle. They didn't know someone was recording. And what they said hit harder than any leak before it. One officer asked, "So what we doing about Ace? The Tower thing making us look crazy?" The other responded, "We stick to the report, don't deviate. If we change anything now, we lose the whole case." The first officer hesitated, then said, "But we know he wasn't there." The second one's answer sent shockwaves through the entire internet. He wasn't, but somebody was. And we not opening that door. The clip ended abruptly, but the damage was already done. It was the closest thing to a confession anyone had heard. Fans lost their minds. Theories turned into near certainties. Emotional reactions poured in from everywhere. People wrote long threads posting, "They literally said it. They admitted he wasn't there." Another said, "If Ace ain't the target, then who is? They protecting someone?" Inside Ace's house, when the video surfaced, you could hear yelling from down the hall. His boys were pacing back and forth, shouting, "They caught red-handed, they done messed up," but Ace didn't smile. He didn't celebrate, he sat still, elbows on his knees, staring at the phone. After a long silence, he said, "This is bigger than me, bigger than all of us." His tone wasn't angry, it was exhausted, heavy. Like someone carrying a weight too big to describe. His closest friend, Dree, sat beside him and said, "Bro, you gotta go public, you gotta speak." But Ace shook his head. "If I talk now, they gon' say I'm manipulating the story. Everything I say gonna get twisted." Meanwhile, people online began analyzing the officers' voices, accents, even reflections in the car windows, trying to identify who they were. Someone even slowed the audio down, enhancing it to catch background noises. They heard a street name. Fans matched the street name to the exact district those officers worked in. Within hours, their identities were exposed. And just like that, the case turned into a war between public outrage and law enforcement silence. The police department quickly released a statement saying the video was edited out of context and misleading. But fans weren't buying it. They started posting side-by-side comparisons, saying, "How is it misleading when the man literally said, 'We know he wasn't there'?" Hashtags formed, trending for hours. Celebrities jumped into the conversation. Some rappers called out corruption. Others warned Ace to be careful. Even producers, athletes, and influencers started voicing support. But while the internet was exploding with anger, Ace's home became a pressure cooker. Family members argued about whether he should stay put or leave town until things settled. His mother wanted him safe. His brother wanted him public. His label wanted him silent. His crew wanted revenge. And Ace? He just wanted the truth out, but he didn't know who to trust anymore. One night, the tension boiled over. Ace got into a heated argument with someone in his circle, someone he had known for years. This person questioned whether Ace knew more than he claimed. "Bro, what if you got info you not telling us? They only go this hard when they scared of something," the friend said. Ace snapped instantly. "Man, I ain't hiding nothing. I'm the one getting blamed for stuff I didn't even do. What part you don't get?" The room fell silent. His voice cracked from frustration. For the first time, Ace felt betrayed by his own circle, even though it wasn't intentional. He walked outside alone, paced up and down the driveway under the streetlights, and punched his fist into his hand repeatedly. He kept mumbling, "Why me? Why always me?" He felt isolated, misunderstood, cornered. And worst of all, powerless. But everything changed the following morning. Another leak dropped. This time it wasn't audio, it wasn't tower data, it was surveillance footage. A blurry clip from a distant camera angle showing the SUV police claimed Ace was in, except the person stepping out of the driver's seat wasn't Ace. It wasn't even close. Taller build, different hair, different walk. Even the outfit didn't match what Ace wore that day, and to make it even worse, the passenger in the video walked with a limp. Ace didn't. The internet erupted instantly. Fans wrote, "That is not Ace. Case closed. They caught lying again." Blogs posted zoomed-in frames pointing out body differences. YouTubers paused the footage at every angle, analyzing shadows and comparing silhouettes. The streets were convinced Ace had nothing to do with it. When Ace saw the footage, he closed his eyes and exhaled deeply. He whispered, "Thank you," not to anyone in the room, but to God, the universe, whatever force finally put truth in motion. His mother burst into tears when she saw it. His brother punched the air in victory. His friend Dree hugged him so tight Ace almost fell over. It was the first time Ace felt hope, but the police still wouldn't back down. They said the footage was unclear and didn't prove anything. That denial only made the public angrier. Comment sections flooded with thousands of people saying, "They caught and still lying. If Ace was guilty, they'd accept the footage. Who they trying to save?" Ace's legal team finally stepped in. They prepared a massive digital packet containing timestamps, GPS movements, surveillance clips, witness testimonies, the leaked audio, the phone tower logs, everything. They planned to present it publicly, not just legally. A full breakdown exposing every lie piece by piece. The label tried to stop them, worried about the fallout, but Ace demanded it. "I'm not living under a lie," he said. "I'm not letting them write my name into someone else's mess." But before the legal team could release the packet, something unexpected happened. A man came forward anonymously claiming he was the person in the SUV that night. He said he had proof. He said Ace wasn't involved. He said the investigators knew everything. The message ended with one chilling line, "They told me to stay quiet. But I can't let him take the fall." Ace read it over and over, trying to understand whether it was real, fake, a trap, or a blessing. His crew debated all night. Some believed the man, others thought it was a setup. His mother prayed for clarity. His brother wanted to confront the man face to face. Ace just kept staring at his phone, whispering, "This the missing piece. This the person they didn't want exposed." But the man didn't reveal himself publicly. Not yet. He said he was scared. He said powerful people were watching him. He said he needed protection before he came forward. Ace understood, because he knew what it felt like to be hunted. Now the entire world waited for the man's next move. Would he reveal himself? Would he expose the truth? Would he confirm everything Ace had been saying from the start? Or would he disappear, just like everyone else tied to the truth? Either way, one thing was clear to everyone watching. The story wasn't over. It was just hitting the most dangerous part. And now we're standing at the edge of the story where everything feels unfinished, everything feels unstable, and everything feels like it could explode at any moment. Because if that anonymous man steps forward with proof, this entire case flips on its head. If he disappears, the mystery only gets darker. If the investigators keep denying, the public pressure grows. And if Ace finally decides to speak out, the truth might hit harder than any diss track he's ever recorded. Fans are shocked, emotions ran high, and the family is still divided, trying to figure out how to move forward without tearing themselves apart. Every unanswered question keeps spinning. Who was in that SUV? Who changed the timeline? Why was Ace's name dragged into a place he never went? And most importantly, who is being protected behind the scenes? These tower records didn't just expose a lie, they exposed a system that's scrambling to hold itself together while the truth leaks through the cracks like water in a broken pipe. And whether you love Ace or you don't, one thing's impossible to deny: somebody didn't want the real story coming out. But now it's out here, and it can't be stuffed back into the shadows. Not anymore, so now it's your turn. If you've been glued to this story from the beginning, tap that like button right now. If you think Ace deserves justice, hit subscribe because we're dropping every update the second it happens. And if you've got your own theory about who was really in that SUV or why police bent the story, drop it in the comments. We want to hear your thoughts, your predictions, your breakdowns. This story ain't finished, not even close, and you are now a part of it. Stay locked in because the next update might just change everything.